This is the AIPER Cordless Robotic Pool Cleaner, and my gut reaction the moment I picked it up was, wow, this thing is smaller than I expected. It's just a bit bigger than my hand, and that compact design makes a difference when you're carrying it to the pool or tucking it away on a shelf. I've used a string of pool vacs over the years, and most of them were either heavy, tangled in cords, or just a pain to store. This one immediately felt different in a good way. I went into testing with a healthy dose of doubt. My pool is mostly flat with a gentle slope, and it collects fine dust, sand, and the usual mix of leaves and little seed pods. I wasn't sure a cordless unit with a small body could handle that without getting clogged or dying early. But after multiple runs over a couple of weeks, I can honestly say it held its own. From my experience, the runtime averaged around an hour and a half on a full charge, which lines up with the 90-minute claim. Charging back up took about 2.5 hours on a standard outlet, so the turnaround between sessions was reasonable for my routine. Key features that stand out start with the cordless design. No power cable, no floating hoses, no tripping hazards on the deck. I press the button, lower it in, and it takes off. There's a small delay while it wakes up, and then it begins its passes. The movement pattern looks random, but the coverage is solid. On my medium-sized rectangular pool, well within the 40-foot length and 850-square-foot spec, it reached every area of the floor by the end of a session. If you're new to these cleaners, think of it like a floor-only robot vacuum for your pool. It roams, it vacuums, and it collects debris in a built-in basket. The debris system is simple. There's a fine mesh filter inside that traps dusty stuff like sand and silt while also catching larger bits like leaves. When I open it up after a run, I can see that powdery layer of grit stuck to the mesh, which tells me it's actually getting the fine particles, not just the obvious leaves. Cleaning it is easy. I pop the latches, lift out the basket, hose everything off, and snap it back in. If you're new to pool gear, the fine mesh filter is basically a reusable strainer. It's not a bag you throw away. It's a washable screen that keeps small debris from circulating back into the water. Maintenance is one area where this model kept surprising me. It comes with replaceable brushes on the underside, so when they wear down, I don't need to buy a brand new unit. There's also an extra plastic wheel in the box, a small thing that saves a headache later if one wheel gets banged up. The locking mechanism that opens the cleaner has 2 points: push down, lift up. Do the same on the other side. The first time, I needed a second to figure out the rhythm. After that, it became muscle memory. The included retrieval hook clips onto a standard telescoping pool pole, which is the same pole I use for my net. When the cleaning cycle ends, I line up the hook, snag the handle, and lift the unit out without getting into the water. In my opinion, that hook plus the compact weight is a big part of why this feels like less work than other cleaners I've owned. On performance, here's what I noticed. It excels on flat floors, whether above ground or in ground, as long as the surface is relatively level. On my mildly sloped area toward the deep side, it still worked, but you can see the unit think a little. When the incline gets steeper, it sometimes turns around or slows down. If your pool has a pronounced drop-off into a deep end, expect it to avoid that transition. It won't climb walls or steps, and that's by design. It's a floor cleaner. If you want the walls polished, you'll still need a brush, but for the floor, it does the job well. I've noticed that when there's a heavy leaf fall, the debris basket fills up before the runtime is over. Not a flaw, just something to plan for. I pull it out, rinse the basket, drop it back in, and let it finish. On normal days with light debris, it finishes the cycle without getting stuffed. Noise-wise, it's quiet. There's a low hum under the water, and that's it. I can hang out on the deck and it's not intrusive. I also like that the handle design makes it easy to lift, and the water drains quickly once it's out, so I'm not carrying a bucket full of pool water across the patio. Little quality of life touches like that matter when you're using it several times a week. It's perfect for anyone who values convenience. The cordless setup means I spend more time enjoying the pool and less time untangling hoses or looking for an outlet near the water. If you have a flat-bottomed above-ground pool or a smaller in-ground pool within that 850-square-foot range, I think you'll get the most out of it. If your pool is large with a sharp slope or a very deep end, it'll still help keep the shallow and mid areas clean, but you may see reduced battery life and more turning at the slope. For stubborn algae bloom days, when the floor is slippery and green, you'll want to brush first and let the cleaner pick up the loosened debris after. I had a few questions at the start, and I'll share how they played out. I wondered if the fine sand in the corners would get collected. It did, although sometimes it took a second pass to gather the last bit. I was curious about the battery claim. On my runs, it consistently delivered close to the 90-minute mark, unless I had a heavy blanket of leaves on the floor. I worried about build quality because of the light weight, but after bumping the drain cover and skimming over a couple of small pebbles, nothing cracked or jammed. From my experience, the combination of the fine mesh basket, the replaceable brushes, and the spare wheel added up to a cleaner that's built for actual use, not just a demo. If you're new to robotic pool cleaners, there's almost no learning curve. Charge it, check that the latch is fully closed, press the power button, and lower it into the pool. It starts on its own, roams the floor, and when it's done, you hook it and lift it out. Rinsing the filter takes a minute. That's the routine. No cords to manage, no complicated setup, no software updates or pairing screens. It's the least fussy experience I've had with a pool cleaner so far. In my opinion, AIPER nailed the balance between simplicity, performance, and maintenance. It's not trying to be a do-everything robot. It's focused on the most annoying part of pool care, the floor, and it handles that with minimal babysitting. I'd recommend this for pool owners who want a lightweight, easy-to-store cleaner for regular upkeep, especially if your pool is flat or gently sloped. It's also a great fit for seasonal pool owners who pack gear away each year. The small footprint makes storage painless. In conclusion, the AIPER Cordless Robotic Pool Cleaner makes routine cleaning straightforward. It keeps fine dust, sand, and leaves out of sight, runs long enough for typical pools, and is fuss-free to rinse and reset. If your pool matches the specs, up to 40 feet and around 850 square feet, you're right in its sweet spot. For me, the cordless convenience and quick maintenance are what keep me reaching for it week after week. I will post full information about the AIPER Cordless Robotic Pool Cleaner in the comments section. See you in the following videos.